Mr. Bill Russo, one of the most famous sightings in the Bridgewater Triangle. What I would say is what draws, a lot of new attention, keeps people coming for that rich history that the triangle endures. Bill, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are?
Well, I was a broadcaster. I was a newspaper editor. I practiced many trades. I was a journeyman in all, a master of none. I was a hard worker, so I had a good career. Mostly in newspapers, radio broadcasting, and a few turns in factories as a supervisor. So pretty much jack of all trades, master of none. And here I am at age 80 in South Florida, even though my heart is still back there in the high T's that are behind me in my painting.
Yeah, I love that painting, by the way. So the high T's, we're getting right into it here. Did you grow up in that Massachusetts area?
I was born in Massachusetts and I lived in the town of Raynham for many years. My son still lives there in my old house. It's his house now.
Okay. I want you to take me back to a night that you had, and of course, you know it. It's changed your life, and I would like to know the story.
I'm going to take you back to that time and that place. Time was the 1990s. The place was the town of Raynham. It's in southeastern Massachusetts, about 30 miles away from Providence, Rhode Island. It borders Bridgewater, which has become famous as a town that gave its name to a triangle. I lived 3 miles from the Nip, another famous place in the triangle. And I'll tell you this about the Nip. My dog Samantha and I swam there for many years. It was a wonderful place. There were no drownings during the period that I swam there and Samantha swam there. There were no strange things. Apparently that all happened after the 1990s, but I can't really speak to that. I can only say that we swam there and it was a wonderful spot for us.
Right.
Well, I'm going to take you back to the 1990s now, to the town of Raynham. It's a small town. It was about 9,000 people back then. It's almost double that now, but it's still a small, quiet town. You have to understand how quiet this town was. I worked a 3 to midnight shift. And when I get home at midnight, Sam and I used to take a walk every night. And I'll tell you this, not once did we ever see a light on. Not once did we ever see a car. The town was so small back then that the police department knocked off at midnight. And they called the city of Taunton, the neighboring city next door. And Taunton would take over the phone calls that were placed to the Raynham Police Department. But there never were any, or at least very, very rarely. Back in the day, the Taunton Gazette, the newspaper for the area, used to publish a column every day of the police calls. It was called the Police Blotter. And there'd be these calls for Taunton and calls for the other towns in the area. And you would rarely and probably never see a call to the Raynham police from midnight to 8. Now, when Sammy and I did our walk, we never saw another car. We never saw another person. Let me introduce Sammy now before we go any further. This is Samantha. She was an 80-pound Rottweiler Shepherd. Now, if you know anything about dogs, you know Rottweilers and Shepherds are pretty tough. Some folks will even tell you they're mean. This was the most gentle dog I've ever known or seen. And she was my pal. And for several years, every night after I got home from work, Sam and I would take a walk. Now, we generally start out right behind me in the high T's. Just to explain for the people who don't know, the high T's are high tension wires that run from Boston to Providence. And back in the 1990s, the electric company did not trim aggressively like they do today. So the T's then were essentially a tunnel. You could go from Boston to Providence in this tunnel. You'd cross a few streets, of course, but you could go and probably not be seen by anybody, except maybe when you crossed the street. So the tunnels, then the high T's became apparently a paranormal hotspot. I never saw anything strange in the high T's themselves, But I believe there were strange things in the high teas that maybe they came out on the street at night. So let's get back to the story. I worked at the Raynham Ironworks. I get home at midnight, said hello to my wife every night, and then Sam and I would begin our walk. And generally, we'd start out in high teas. My backyard emptied out right at this spot in the high teas right here. It still does. And we'd walk the high teas for a little bit until we got to a street, and it is called White Street. And that's an interesting street because it goes by an ironworks, the site of an early ironworks. Town of Raynham is noted for having the first ironworks in all of North America, way back, I guess, in the 1600s. So we walked by this old ironworks, but there was nothing strange about it. It was just interesting. There's a little river that goes under the street, and we'd stop and watch the water go by. And then we'd walk further on down, and we'd make a route of maybe 2-3 miles. And we did this every night for several years. And during this time, as I told you, not once did we see a car. Not once. Not once did we see a light on. Never. Not once. That's how quiet the town was back in those days.
Right.
But one night, we were almost finished with the walk. We were maybe 100 yards from the house, maybe 200 yards from the house. I didn't hear anything. It was quiet as usual. But all of a sudden, Sammy was pulling on her leash. I always had her on a leash because you never know, the dog might chase something. It's just always best to keep your dog on a leash, no matter how well trained they are. So Sam's pulling at the leash. Sam, what's wrong? Sammy, what's wrong? What's wrong, Sam? She's pulling at that leash. And now she was 80 pounds and she could probably pull a car if she wanted to. She was strong. She was pulling. She wanted to go home. She was frightened. She was literally scared almost to death. Sam, what's wrong? What's wrong, Sam? I had no idea. But she obviously was frightened. She was scared to death. And then I heard what scared her.
Oh my God.
Here. Here. A one chew. Chew. A one chew. A one chew. Here. Here. A one chew. It was this high-pitched cry coming from I don't know where. And it kept getting louder and louder. Here, here, he wants you. Chew, 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 you don't chew. Here, here. And then, in the light cast from a street light across the street, I saw what was scaring Sammy. It was a little kid. Are you all right? You look like a little kid. Are you okay? Answer me. Are you all right? Do you live near here? Can I help you? Here. Here. I want you. Chew. I want you. Never answered me. It never acknowledged me. It just kept saying, here. Here. I want you.
And to pause you a little bit, just to clarify, those sound like real words, but just kind of tweaked. Now, what do you think those mean?
That in a short time.
Okay.
Now, Sammy was absolutely at the end of her leash, literally. She couldn't take it anymore. I had to do something. I had to do something. I talked to this thing for another minute or two, but by now I was convinced it was not a child. I had no idea what it was. It was about 3 feet tall. My drawing doesn't do it justice, but it gives you the idea that it had a little childlike face, which it did.
Now,
but the body was like an old thing.
Now, when you looked into its eyes, I don't know if that's how it played out, but when you looked into its eyes, did it make you feel any way? Did it do you remember anything of any other feelings that you got? Were
Yeah,
you scared?
no, no. It looked like a little child. It looked like a little chipmunk, maybe. It was 3 feet tall and had a pot belly. It looked like it was old, except it had a young face. It did not look threatening, number one. Number two, it did not advance on us. It did this. Kia, Kia,
Mm,
Kia, come here, beckoning with its paw. But it
right.
never advanced on us. It never stepped towards us. So was it threatening? Well, that voice was certainly threatening, but the body didn't look threatening. It didn't look scary. It looked basically much like what I'm showing in my illustration. But here's the thing. Though it did not look scary to me, though it did not look like it would hurt me, it scared Samantha almost to death. Now, dogs know things that people don't know.
Absolutely.
So I took my cue from Samantha.
Who was at this point literally at the end of her leash, freaking out. This is an 80-pound dog who could pull a truck, right? Like you said, who is quivering, basically jumping through her skin to get away from this thing.
Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct.
Wow.
So I said, if she's afraid of it, I must be afraid of it. I have to be afraid of it. And I let her pull me home. We went home. And I went inside and I thought about it. I told my wife about it. We talked about it for a while. I stayed up for hours drinking cup after cup of coffee, and I arrived at what I think is a translation of what it was saying. It was trying to speak English. Kia, Kia is come here. E one chu is we want you. Not I want you, not me want you. We want you. So there's more of them. I didn't see them, but there's more of them. They're out there in the high tees. I guess that's where they are, out there in the
And
high tees.
there's a name
So
that there's a name that gets floated around, and I don't know where it comes from originally, but a puck wudgie. From your years of hindsight, uh, is that what this is?
I had
Was
never heard of a buck wedgie.
okay,
I had also never heard of the Bridgewater Triangle. I am not a paranormal guy. I've never been in a paranormal group. I don't know any of the much of the terminology of the paranormal world. I had never been a stargazer or anything like that,
mm,
so I had never heard of buckwudgies. All I know, it was a little hairy creature, about 3 feet tall, and it was trying to talk to me. It was trying to communicate with me. It was trying to get me to come to it. It wasn't coming towards me. I have heard since then that that's the lure of the pukwudgie. They have to lure you in.
right,
So that lines up. That makes sense.
okay,
So it makes perfect sense now that I've heard about pukwudgies to say that that's probably what it was.
right. And if Samantha wasn't there that night, now let's play a little hypothetical, right? Obviously, you wouldn't have been on that walk because you wouldn't have been walking with who knows. But say you were on that walk alone, just for this hypothetical. What happened? What would happen? Would you have gone towards it?
Meet my best new pal. How could you not? It was cute. It was
Right.
cute. You know,
And you were
picture a
curious.
little stuffed animal come to life, about 3 feet tall. And although this isn't an accurate representation of what I saw, it gives you the idea of what I saw. Something non-threatening, something kind of cute, something childlike. That's what it was.
And maybe
This was
that's
my new best buddy.
so you think they would have. And I say they because it spoke of we. Do you think they would have taken you? And could that be? I mean, I don't want to make you speculate, but could that be what happens to some people in the triangle?
Speculation is what it is.
Yeah.
Speculation is what we have to do. What would have happened to me? there was this one, and he spoke of more, he or she, whatever it was, spoke of more. So my best guess is that if I had gone over to it, you and I wouldn't be talking right now.
My God, does that keep you up at night? Samantha saved your life,
I think so.
potentially
I think so.
saved your life.
I think she did.
I mean, this is a commonplace. We know that biosensors, that dogs, other animals are great um, indicators of when something's happening. I think you obviously made the right call, clearly, but after this happens to you, how do you feel? How does your outlook on life change? What starts going through your head? Because this is not something that happens to people. Obviously. Do you start thinking you're crazy? Do you drink more?
What happened was the very next night, we went out on the walk again.
Oh God, you have balls.
Same route, and saw nothing, no cars, no lights on in the windows. And we continued that for the remainder of Sam's life. She passed away in the year 2000. And right up until the end, Sam and I were still at the nip every day, not every day, the weekends in the summer. And we still made our walks summer and winter at night through the high teas, through the streets. And never again did we see this Awan chill creature, not once. I wish I had.
Really? Why is that?
Well, how many people get to see a strange little creature like that and live to tell about it? So obviously it wasn't going to attack me. So if I saw it again, maybe we'd have a different conversation.
Right.
Know how it would turn out, but I'd like to find out. I'd like to see it again.
That's very, very interesting. And other people have claimed to have seen these things. It's not just you. If what you saw was what they describe as a pukwudgie, and it sounds very, very, very consistent with the lore of the pukwudgie or whatever it is. But did you start researching into other cases and other sightings that people had? Did you ever try to reach out to anyone who had sightings? Nothing
No,
like that.
I still do not have an interest in the paranormal. I'm interested in the swimming pool. I'm in South Florida. I like the swimming pool. I walk around the lake and that's it.
So, and you've never made $1 off this. You've never profited. You've never profited off this story. You've never um, sought attention or fame. Um, you're just a guy who
Yeah,
saw something.
I wrote a blog about it, and that blog was read by a lot of people. In fact, that blog was eventually what led to my appearance in that 2013 Triangle documentary. And I've been on a few TV shows and some radio shows and things like that. I guess I enjoy talking about it because I've done it now for what, almost 30
11, 12.
years, I guess,
Yeah.
or more.
Well, yeah, it's a way of experiencing it again. I think what you're doing is something that more people need to do. And what the problem I think is with, and I'm not characterizing you because clearly you are the opposite. But what a problem with your generation is you guys are always taught to rub some dirt in it, right? Brush it off, and just keep it moving, right? You walked somehow you guys walked both ways to school uphill, right? It didn't even make sense. It still makes no sense. That's who your generation was, right? And do you think that played a role in your non-interest in kind of finding out more about this? Because if I had that sighting, I wouldn't stop. I would be obsessed.
Well, it just wasn't my thing. Never been interested in outer space or, any of the paranormal things. Just not what I'm into.
Seeing what you saw, what's your answer to this question? Are we alone in the universe?
I can't answer that question. I can tell you I saw something that is really bizarre, really strange, but I don't attach any greater significance to it. I don't speculate on. It just happened.
Yeah, but it was non-human, and it seemed intelligent. It was clearly intelligent, intelligent enough to do what it did. And I find that to be the like super intriguing. So again, the months or days and weeks leading up, or post incident. Again, I want to go bring you back. How are you feeling again post incident?
Well, I'm sad that I didn't see it again. As I told you, we made that walk many, many times. I don't understand why I didn't see it again. Because I didn't threaten it. It did not threaten me. I didn't engage it. But if I had seen it 6 or 7 times, each time I probably would have gotten closer and closer until that one time then I went up and took its hand.
Right, right.
And
It's
who knows what that would have brought.
right. So how has this impacted your life? I mean, it seems like it's not.
Not at all. No effect. No effect at all.
So a lot of people who say they went through that experience, I don't think would be able to say that. Um, I think it would shake them to their core, just because I mean, even though it looked cute
No
and it was three
nightmares.
feet,
I don't think about it very much.
right,
Occasionally I do, but not very much.
right. Well, Bill, do you think you were meant to see what you saw that night? And maybe,
I can't speculate on that. I have no idea.
okay,
Only guy in that town to be out walking at night. That's why I saw it, because there was nobody else there. That's what
right.
I figure.
Well, that's why I ask is, if you make that route every night and then this thing's just there, it kind of makes me wonder if if it had watched your routine and kind of, sought you out. But I don't know. I guess you're right. Speculation is speculation. But
Well, they're probably in the high teas, and there was only one person on the streets at night, so that is why I saw it.
now, can't you gave a good description of exactly where it took place. So I obviously you're back in South Florida. I want to go to the exact spot. Um, so can you describe the spot to me?
I'll tell you off camera because I don't want 1,000 people going there. My son still lives in the house,
Gotcha.
and I still have neighbors there that really don't want me to disclose the exact location. If people wanted to search, they could probably figure it out, but we don't want it to turn into some sort of a
Tourist trap.
tourist attraction.
Yeah, yeah. No, definitely. I can totally understand that. Um, but we're on our, we're on our Bridgewater tour, and would you recommend any places that we should visit? The high teas obviously being one of them,
High tea is one of them, and the nip.
and the nip. What is the nip?
Oh, you
What
know
is
the nip?
exactly? I don't know exactly what that means.
Okay, the nip is Lake Nipponicket.
Oh,
Now, Lake Nipponicket is on the Bridgewater Raynham line, and it's a small lake. And the interesting thing about this lake, it's closed off. You can't go swimming there anymore. Around the year 2000, the town brought in trucks full of big rocks and they covered a big sandy beach that was there. They closed it because they claimed many people drowned in it. Now, to my knowledge, there were 1 or 2 drownings in a period of 20 or 30 years. I don't know of any other drownings, but it got the reputation as a killer lake.
and they shut it down.
They shut it down, and violators can be fined or jailed if you go swimming in the nip. Now, it's open to the public still. You can sit and look at the water, you just can't go in it. Now, here's the
Right.
interesting thing about the nip. You can walk across the nip from one side to the other if you're a basketball player, and you won't even get your chin wet. At its deepest, it might be 6 feet. Now, I walked by myself almost halfway across, and it was up to my shoulders. I'm 5'8". So I didn't want to go all the way across because I had a little bit of a fear that there might be channels in the nip. And if people drowned, maybe they fell into a channel and perhaps it was a swift current.
Right.
So if you go to the nip, and if you want to break the law, you could walk across it because its average depth is 3 feet
So it's
and its greatest depth is 6 feet.
a killer lake that doesn't exceed
Let
6
me look
feet.
it up. It is a part of the triangle, a scary part.
Well, no, we'll
There's an
absolutely be going there.
island in the middle of the nip, and they say at night they see these strange fires, but the nip isn't really on fire. The trees aren't really on fire, but they see these fires. They're ghost fires, I guess.
Well, I'm sorry. Let's run that back a little bit. Did you say there's an island?
There's an island in the middle. You can put a boat in. You can launch a boat. There's a boat launch. You can go to the island if you're brave. If you want to investigate someplace in the triangle, I would suggest you go to the nip.
All right. Thank you, Bill.
It's
And
104, Route 104 in Bridgewater and Raynham. Stories are that there are strange fires at night and glowing things like that at night.
that's really bizarre.
Sam and I swam there for years, probably 5, 6, 8 years, and we never had any strange encounter or anything like that. We loved the nip. It was a great swimming area.
Right. So yeah, that's very odd because like you said, you can only account for 2 drownings, and that would not be enough to close beach. So you gotta wonder.
Reputation. It had the reputation as a killer lake.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the research I did, I found one confirmed drowning, but just looking online, I'm sure if somebody went through newspaper records, they could get a better search. But just searching online, I only found one drowning. And all the time I lived there, which was all of the 1990s, there were no drownings that I know of.
Really, really weird. I wonder if the because I've spoken to other people like obviously like Harry and all the
Harry
other.
will tell you about the nip. You ask Harry, he'll give you the details of the nip.
Yeah, and it's when I ask around about whether Bridgewater acknowledges the triangle from a capacity like in government and law enforcement, etc. And do they have records? And he said that the records are really, really scarce when it comes to the Bridgewater Triangle, and that's a very odd thing because even the smallest of towns keep detailed records of events like the out of the ordinary, even just small events. So I find it very, very, very weird that they shut this lake down. You've only really heard about the one drowning. People have seen what they report to be ghost fires on the island, right? It's only 6 feet deep. It's got a reputation as a killer lake. There's just you've seen and you saw your sighting near, in close proximity to it. So it looks like that's going to be a spot that I have to go.
Yeah, I'm only 3 miles from the nip. My house in Raynham is 3 miles from the nip.
Well, I think you've given me some absolutely amazing testimony, Bill, and I just want to say thank you so much for taking time out of your day. I know you've got a lot going on lately with everything, so I can't wait to get this out to people, and I really just want to say thank you for telling your story.
It was my pleasure.
Can you say hello, please? Last time you said hello. Can you say it again?
We'd really like to hear your voice.
If you need help, can you say help?
Okay, I don't care if anybody believes me. I was in my grandmother's house.
I think this is the story you told me on the phone.
On the phone, yeah, did I? Okay. My grandmother's house, and you'll know I'm saying the truth because nothing's gonna change. I was there, and there's a window on the top of the ceiling, and I was taking a piss in the toilet. I don't know why there was a window on the ceiling. I've never seen a house like that. And she was a little boy. I don't know how old I was, 13, 14, no more than 15. And then all of a sudden, I guess I got what you call peripheral. I can see around me and everything.
Do you feel something like?
And and then I looked at the window. I was like, what? I was like, I couldn't believe what I was looking at. I mean, it's like, there it was clear. I mean, it was a witch on some kind of ancient broomstick. She was skinny. She was a white woman, and she looked at me mean. She seemed to like me, and she gave me a very mean look. And I'm looking at her like, what the heck? It's like, who's gonna believe this?